So at the very least, deep clean, open some windows. Really, this is a great time. For many of us, it's spring. For some of you, it may not be, it may be autumn, but open the windows, get the air flowing, feel this freshness, and do it every day. Even just opening curtains for sunlight is so cleansing and uplifting, just brings the vibration up. These things make such a big difference. And once you start feeling that shift, you'll be guided to the next step and the next step and the next step.
Hello, You-est You family. This is Julie. I am so excited about today's guest. So Dana has actually been on here a couple of years ago, Dana, I think at this point. Dana is a Feng Shui master. She's got so many tools and so much expertise under her belt. I'm going to let her share a little bit more about what she's doing, but I'm so excited for our conversation because every time we have a conversation and chat, I feel like there's like magic sparks in the air. And I said we have to have a conversation that we record and share. I know you're amazing Feng Shui, your school of intention, your mastery program, you're going to share all about it. And just the work that you're doing around resetting our nervous system, self-care, home care, really getting the intricacies, the connection. Dana, I am so excited from my heart to yours. I cannot wait to share your wisdom. So glad you're back to share.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I'm thrilled. We've had so many chats for so long, for hours and hours. And then all of a sudden we're like, why didn't we write this down or share it? I have a list of resources from every time I talk to you. That's why this podcast is so valuable for people, because it's just a wellspring of resources and things that you can do. And hopefully today we can share things people can do that are within reach. I think a lot of times people think about Feng Shui and it sounds very scary and out of reach, and implementing things like buying all new furniture or buying expensive things. And I want to just make this very easy for everyone that needs to feel better to have some tools to be able to do that.
Oh, I love it. And I'm just going to preface by saying, for all our beloved, beautiful, soulful listeners, we will have all of these different links, both to Dana's amazing courses and programs and things that we're mentioning. We'll have this in the description, especially in YouTube, but we'll have it in the show notes. And I know for you and I know for me, the goal is not to overwhelm anybody. So we are going to be sharing, Dana's going to be sharing a lot of really, really helpful tools. The goal is to help you in being your You-est You. You know, it's mind, body, spirit. We're going to be talking about all the different ways to really honor and take care of yourself and to love yourself. And I'm so excited because you, my friend, you always have such amazing resources. You have the biggest heart and you are so masterful at what you do. Can we just start out, because I know there's different understandings of Feng Shui. I think to level set for those who may not have seen the original interview, for someone who's listening is like, I've heard of Feng Shui, I know a little bit, I've dabbled, like maybe we just share, like start with, what does it mean? How did you get into it? Where do you start? Let's start there.
Great. Well, Feng Shui is essentially, as you said, mind, body, spirit is so important, but it doesn't exist without a space. And Feng Shui is the art and science of creating the optimal space for you to thrive. And without that space, then we wouldn't be here. So it's like how important the earth is as our major home, but also working with nature and working with our own true nature to design our spaces and our lives so that we can thrive. And so sorry, the way that I look at Feng Shui, which is totally unique, is that a lot of Feng Shui has evolved from ancient times. It started as Vatsu and then Feng Shui and then moved to the West. And as it's moved around, it's really picked up a lot of belief systems, a lot of, we'll say, rules, dogma, you can call it all sorts of things, different types of practices. People hear about a compass, they hear about directions they have to face, they hear about lucky and bad luck days and all sorts of astrology. And really, truly, the practice that I do is free of all of this. It's something I created as a passion project after my life totally fell apart. in my 20s when I was trying to over optimize myself. And I thought I was broken. I did all of this wellness in Los Angeles and landed in the hospital with an autoimmune condition. I just freaked out my whole nervous system and my whole body. And in that healing process, I realized I didn't really have a home that was a home. I was just kind of living in a place and it looked fine, but I didn't feel at home. And it was something I was missing. And so I started learning feng shui and thinking, wow, there's so much brilliance here, but also so many things I didn't understand. And many of you listening might feel the same way. I don't understand this. This is complex. This is confusing. And some of it I just don't agree with. Like if we all could put purple in the left-hand corner of our house and make a ton of money, then everyone would be rich and it would be just the end of story. Like it just doesn't quite work that way. And yet when I saw the core principles of feng shui, I was like, this is so cool. And there's clearly deep, powerful, ancient wisdom, and also so much modern science that supports all of these concepts. So I just ran with it as a passion project, did it for myself. I turned my whole life around, which was crazy. And this passion project turned into a whole feng shui method and a whole universe of stuff where I'm just astonished still to this day. But feng shui essentially is being at home in your home and designing that optimal environment for you to thrive. And there are lots of tools that you can work with, but none of the things we're going to be talking about today or anything to do with in this work have anything to do with bad luck or good luck. I believe you make your own luck. And nothing has to do with limitations. There's no strict rule that says your bed has to point in one direction. You have to feel at home. This work honors the uniqueness of you, your You-est You. So this is why, to me, it's so important. And I think why we're so aligned, because it's really about bringing out your best self and working with the untapped power of your environment, because it's something people don't know how to do. People have ideas of working with their mind, working with their spirit, working with their body and doing all of these things. These are known practices, but the vast unknown is, how do I really make my space work for me? How do I really tap into this manifesting power of my space? Some people don't even know it's possible or that it exists until they come upon this work and they're like, what? So that's what I do.
Oh gosh, there's so much in what you just said. And I'm thinking as you're talking, everything is energy, right? So everything vibrates, everything is energy. We know this. And how many times, are we really thinking about, okay, we're thinking about our thoughts, we're thinking about what we're hopefully putting in our bodies and our, caring for ourselves that way. It just occurred to me when you were talking, Dana, like really tuning into what is vibrating in our surroundings. What do we have around us? How do we feel in those rooms and with that different, the not just the furniture, but like the items that we're looking at, the things that are there. And I think maybe a place to start, because I often get like things light up when I'm like, oh, I think someone wants to know that. And when you said using our space to manifest, before we get into the tools, something said, let's go there. I heard questions like, okay, yeah. Maybe we could just go into the beginning. And I know you teach this a lot too, so people can go way deeper with you in your programs. But for somebody who's like, I didn't know that like my space could help me manifest, like, yes, please. Where do we start with that? Like, how do we do that?
The very first place to begin is to feel at home in your home. When you think about being plugged in, that idea, wherever you were as a kid, where it might have been your home, it might have been your grandma's home, it might have been a school, it might have been a certain place, church. People have different associations where they feel really at home. That place where you went as a child, where you were like, everything is okay. I can be myself. You feel yourself almost plugged in to this ultimate power and comfort, and all the social veneers drop away and you can just be. And that is such a rarity, to be able to have that deep exhale and really just be your full self. and not have to be on guard, not have to be thinking. And to me, that's that essential nature of home. And look at your place now. Not many of us live in the place we grew up in. And so look at your place now and ask yourself, do I walk in the door and feel that? Do I feel plugged in? Do I feel like now I can take a breath? Do I feel like now everything's going to be okay? Now I can go, put my coat away and just hop on the couch and everything is good. And I could just feel my energy rising. That feeling of being at home, that quintessential feeling, and everyone can even think about what that was for themselves. How can you harness more of that in your space? Because when you have that feeling, you're in that zone, that same zone that many of us were in as a kid, where you were unlimited, where you had no restrictions to what you thought was possible, where you tried things without criticizing yourself, where you were curious, where you were imaginative, where you were creative. And that is the first place to begin if you're looking to manifest more, I feel, because I think that manifesting, how we use that word, is creativity. And, the boldness of our creativity and the daring that we have to express ourselves is how much we're going to see come into our lives. There's so many different methods, so many different things, but at the end of the day, it's all creativity. And I'm not talking about making art. I'm talking about living freely and fully, not in your head, in your full body, full energy. And so feel at home first.
Okay. I love that so much. One of the thoughts that came up as you were talking, because I can imagine for some, I love this so much. This makes a lot of sense and feels true. And I was thinking, and I bet there's others too. I mean, I liked the house I grew up in. I didn't have a lot of that feeling there. Bless my mom. It was not her skill. I mean, it just didn't. So I was like, you know what though? I felt that at my best friend's house. I felt that with one of my favorite teachers. I felt that in nature. So I'm imagining, like, and you said it, whether it's at another place, your grandparents' house, like it doesn't have to be the home you lived in, but you could look and see, for example, what was the store growing up? Oh my God, I can't remember. I grew up in Boston. I can't remember this store, but it was so pretty. I feel like it was like Laura Ashley, which is really dating myself, like really,
That's so funny.
really dating myself. They even had a perfume there. It had a lot of floral. I love flowers. I remember being like, I feel at home in here. So I'm just saying, for people that are listening, I'm hearing this like, well, it wasn't at my house. You already said it. It could be, think about anywhere that you felt that home. And I love that correlation, Dina. It's funny. I don't know that I've ever strung those two together, but when we talk about accessing being your You-est You, your soul self, really it is being at home in yourself. And so that home that you live in, whatever that might be, it could be an Airstream. It could be, an Airbnb you're renting. Maybe there are things you bring with you. It could be a place you rent or you own. It doesn't have to be a house or an apartment. I mean, there's a lot of ways places we can live. I love what you said though. And I really love the relationship of manifestation to creativity. And what came to me was being of the creator, the great creator, that ability to create, that comes from creativity. That comes from feeling comfortable in your skin, feeling, as you said, like grounded and feeling safe. And so when our home emulates that, mirrors that's just brilliant. I'd never made a connection like the way you just did. And so I know people listening are going to be like, oh, so let's say for someone who's like, my house kind of feels that way and I'm not fully there, like what would you say is a good place to start? Especially, I know I was just talking to somebody who's doing a coaching program who's like just moved in with their partner and does not feel that it feels like home. Where do you start if it doesn't really feel like that yet?
A really good place, if you are halfway there or you feel like you have a bit of it, but not all of it, is to just identify what's not aligned. And if you live with a partner, that's a really good, you just moved in together, you moved into someone's house, like you didn't get a joint place together, one person moved into the other person's home. to look around and say, okay, I see what are these things that you value the most, and where can I sort of bring myself to the space as well. So that's really important that you see yourself in this space. For those people who have moved in with someone and they're like, I like it here, but it's just not my house. And that's going to help your relationship as well, because a great relationship, usually two people are visually represented. Even if your styles are different, somehow, if you get along well, they will get along well. It'll work. But what I think is really vital, if you're just getting started doing this, is to really start understanding for yourself, I bought this because it's cool looking. I don't really feel it. You don't have to love everything passionately, but maybe you've outgrown it. You outgrew the moment where having that, decor thing was fashionable or cool. And you're just like, looking and seeing, what have you really outgrown? What has gone past its prime? And you don't have to get rid of all your furniture. Sometimes it means that you upgrade something. Sometimes you might swap something or donate something. You may realize you just have too much stuff. And so you do just give some stuff away. And clearing away some of that opens the doors to what is coming next. I also tell people, make a list of things that you can't get rid of yet because you need a couch. Even if you don't love your couch, you need a couch right now, but you don't really want to buy a new one yet. Write a list of things that you would ultimately like to upgrade in the future, and just be really clear about it. Just set that almost like your mood board, even make a mood board of what you actually want, and put it aside for now and know that that's coming. And then you can also start working on energetics, because everything, as you said, is energy, and your home is an extension of your energy field. And so every aspect of the objects in your space is a reflection of you. So if you're struggling to get rid of things, ask yourself, is this a reflection of me? Do I really want this thing in my space? Is this what I want? And if there are those things you want to get rid of, but you can't, like your sofa, cover it with a blanket, or get a throw blanket, or get some new pillows, or clean it, or do something to easily to upgrade it. There's always a little something that can be done. And the energy is a powerful thing to shift. So deep cleaning, my favorite, deep cleaning. Someone asked me, what's the biggest bang for your buck thing that you can do in your home? Clean it really, really well, and really get into it. Don't just mindlessly clean it or clean it feeling drudgery, but get into it. Like really feel it, really feel excited about it. And know something that you said at the very, very beginning, home care is self-care. And so as you're taking care of your home, you're taking care of yourself. This isn't sort of extra. It isn't like a cherry on top. A lot of times we think that because it's been such a foreign concept to work with environment. But when you start really pouring love and attention into your space, I want you to think about this. We talk about influence all the time in personal growth. You hear about influence, the power of influence, the power of your friends, the things you're listening to on TV and internet, all this stuff. But your home is your biggest influence in your life. It's affecting you all day long, every minute. As a new friend that I just met, Mitch, said, you bathe in it. You bathe in it, like you're bathing in the energies of your space. So at the very least, deep clean, open some windows. Really, this is a great time. For many of us, it's spring. For some of you, it may not be, it may be autumn, but open the windows, get the air flowing, feel this freshness, and do it every day. Even just opening curtains for sunlight is so cleansing and uplifting, just brings the vibration up. These things make such a big difference. And once you start feeling that shift, you'll be guided to the next step and the next step and the next step.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think what you're saying, what I love is that this is, I mean, you could have a budget or a big budget to do this, but you don't need that. Like starting with the deep cleaning. And then of course, we talk a lot about that here, setting the intention, like really getting that. And I just this idea that your surroundings, it's like your cocoon, and that energy in your cocoon. I think of this all the time. And I love how you put this into words, it's creating that vibration of what we're surrounding ourselves with. So, eating a certain way that's going to be loving to yourself, thinking certain thoughts that are loving. What we're talking about right now is surrounding yourself with objects, with furniture, with paintings, with reminders. I know for me, you can probably see behind me, I love crystals, like love, love, love. I've got them right here in front of me. I've got them on my table. I've got so many. It's absurd, on my altar. But something I've noticed, Dana, is cleaning them, moving them, like even that can feel cluttered. I've noticed this probably, I bet you I'm not the only one. I love reading. I think anybody who's probably tuning in, one of the addictions I've swapped recently used to be like food and sugar, is like I'm addicted to spiritual books, personal growth books, right? And so I've noticed I've got these stacks of books and I love reading, but it started to feel really overwhelming. So I started to go through them. I'm like, okay, what have I read? Give away. What have I not read? Color code, get them, like find a way. And I'm still trying to find maybe one more tactic because I still have so many. But I think to really, like you said, that deep cleaning and really looking at, okay, what are ways so that it doesn't feel clogged, the energy? Because I know for me, looking at this stack of books, I have one little stack left. There's a little part of me that feels like, gosh, I haven't read them all. I feel like, oh shoot, I a little bit overwhelmed. And so I'm sure you have thoughts on that, like what is stagnating our energy or making or blocking us as well.
Well, we live in such a consumptive world and everything's
Yeah.
available. If you had to go, and maybe you did go to the bookstore and pick all of those out, but often when we go to the bookstore and pick something out, we have that tangible experience. We only buy one book rather than what I do on Amazon when I get 15 at once or 10 at once or five
Yeah.
at once. And so, of course, it's going to, and we have access to so much information. So my friend just told me yesterday about a book and it just arrived in the mail. Like this is what happens. And being aware, just you're already put in place these protocols, like being aware, like, okay, I've gone through these, I've read these, will I come back to them again? Another thing that I really like to do with books is share them with people. So I'll say, I have like 5 books. Do you want to read them? Or you can
Oh,
also put them in. We have free libraries in LA where you can stick them on the street corner in a little library and people will come by and literally just take a book that they want to read, which is so cool. And books just circulate all throughout the city. But when things stagnate, it's always a great, I think for me, for my clients, it's a great sign. This is my like blinking light. You said like I traded one addiction for another. It's like, what if there wasn't addiction? What if there was the next level was, okay, so I get this. I want all of these. I'll get one right now. You know what I mean? Or I'll get two, or I'll just read these for a while. Like understanding what that means for you. And I don't know that that's exactly what it means for you. You just happen to say it, but I don't
yeah.
like to prescribe to anyone, but for everyone who's looking and going, why do I have all these things piling up? Even crystals, the biggest I was a crystal hoarder. I had like 150 crystals all around my house and I gathered them up recently and put them away for a little while so I could like reset and be intentional about where I was putting them because they are energy. Yes, they're beautiful, but they're full of energy. And so just looking at that and
Mm,
going, wait, why did I feel the need to have 100 and something crystals? Oh, because I feel like there's never enough energy. I always want more. I always want more. And I needed to literally sink into the moment more and get a little bit more my feet on the ground, not just my head in the clouds. And now as I bring them back slowly but surely, I'm noticing I don't need them all out at once. And for everyone, sometimes it's this, why does that clutter keep coming back? Well, what is it telling you? What echoes in your mind? Do you hear something like I'm always behind? I'm not enough. I can't work fast enough. What belief is that
mm,
clutter showing you that you've got going on in your head? And once you see that, yeah, you can clear the clutter, but also now you have this great roadmap to make an amazing change, which is going to have a tangible effect. Because if it's showing up in your house, it's probably showing up in your habits somewhere else. And this is just such an easy way I have a lot of coaches that work with me and that work learning this so that they can do this with other people. And they say sometimes it's so hard to get into someone's head and get to sort of crack a belief. But now that I can help people with something external, like working on clearing out your books or putting away your crystals or asking yourself, what is my clutter telling me? We can do that tangibly without going through like this circus of your mind and trying to figure out where it all began and where it ended and what's causing what. You have an action to take in the physical universe, which is practical, which is ultimately going to be a roadmap to the next big life change and big life change and big life change. And that's how I got so addicted to doing this.
Mm. I am so excited. I'm having like fireworks go off because what's occurring to me, number one, is like, okay, I have a crystal thing going on. I'm going to pull them. I'm going to put them away. I think I'm going to put a couple set for the full moon and then the new moon and then see which ones I want. And I'm saying this for anybody else that you're like, got a lot of crystals, got a lot of this thing. The other thought, and you said this, it's like using our creativity. Maybe I start a little local library with friends and I get my books together, they get their books together. I'm just thinking for anyone listening, if you're like, I have all of these things and I want to be more mindful and resourceful and recycle. Like I have a few people near me, like I'm sure we have books that, I have books they don't have. So really getting creative. I love what you were saying though, Dana. And I think this is really powerful. And I see this on the coaching end too. Like what are we saying to ourselves? What is it's like the unspoken, almost like the bubble, when you see like a bubble over someone's head in a cartoon, what's the unspoken bubble of belief when you have all these things you think you need, right? Like, do I think I need all these crystals to be energized or grounded? Is that saying somehow I don't think I have that within? So I love this question, like really from curiosity. And this is for anyone who's resonating right now. And you're like, look, let me look at my accessories, my books, my crystals, my whatever is around you. This is what I'm hearing you say, Dana. Look and just ask yourself, how does it make you feel? Can you gather them and maybe put them away? Can you look and see, is it perhaps sucking the energy? Is it feeling like it's too much? Because I know for me, something that I love to have around me, but it can start to be too much if I don't clean and sort of sort through, all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, right now I have all of these oracle cards on my altar. I do it every month. And then I pulled for the new moon and I'm like, what is going on? I have 19 cards over there. And I'm like, it's too much. No one needs 19 cards out. So whatever it might be, just really being mindful, being aware. And I love this focus that it's just giving us insight. It's giving us insight into maybe what's going on within, what could be looked at with a more loving, compassionate, graceful lens, and how might we see the correlation of overwhelm in your business or work or life with what's around you. This is so smart, so beautiful. I love it.
You see the story. I'm so glad it hits. You explained
Yeah.
it beautifully. I mean, I think that your home's telling a story. And I
Yeah.
think that interior designers have a beautiful way of looking at that in terms of aesthetics, but on so many levels, on so many energetic levels, even the way you move through your house, the way you sit and stand in your house, I could see what's going on with someone's energy and how they're connecting or not connecting to what's going on in the space. And once you start to get that sense for yourself of going back to the beginning, do I feel at home here? Yes. Okay, good. Do I need some freshness? Okay, let's freshen things up. Let's open it up. And then are things stagnant somewhere? Okay, what is that telling me? Rather than I'm a bad person, this makes me a mess, anything else, your clutter is the greatest opportunity to grow. Always rejoice when you find another level of clutter to clear. We do a business training in the Feng Shui school, and I had this urge to go through. I have a giant vintage metal desk that I'm sitting at right now, and it's incredible. And it has great big drawers, and I am pretty organized. I'm like, you'd think after all these years. I had an enormous garbage bag that I filled the night before the first business training, filled to the top, this giant bag. And it was all things that reasonably I was holding on to. But it was like the box I bought my phone in from 2018. Like, why do I have that? And it was all those things and so many reasonable things. And I just put it out, took a picture of it. I made everyone look at it at the beginning of the thing. And I was like, we're never, ever going to be perfect. That doesn't mean you can't thrive right now. It's not held me back from thriving, but getting rid of all that freed me up for a lot of things that are coming in now. Like it was almost like every time you let things go, you make space and this vacuum of prosperity comes in. It's Catherine Ponder's very famous vacuum law of prosperity. So I always rejoice when I can let things go, but I stopped criticizing myself for it. And it's really, really important when you're confronting all of this stuff. It's a lot of energy. You talk about having a lot of self-compassion. It's essential because you look at, oh, why'd I buy this? I wasted this money. I did this thing. We could just drive ourselves crazy. Instead, you could just be like, wow, thank goodness I'm handling this now. Or I would have really spent a lot of money for the rest of my life. Like, I'm so glad I caught this when I did. I'm so glad I learned about this when I did. That's all you've got. And that is the best way to take this as a springboard to greatness rather than as a downward spiral to all the things you coulda, woulda, shoulda done.
Oh my gosh. I think that is like, let's just highlight that for everything. Like anytime you're in that space, I love what you just said. Like anytime we start to attack ourselves or go to judgment, just hear what Dana just said. Just go there, go to compassion, go to curiosity, go to, I love this, like bless your clutter is basically what I heard you say. Bless it. It's giving you an opportunity to see into yourself and to see, okay, where am I feeling clogged up? Where am I feeling stagnant? Where am I hoarding or thinking that, actually what comes to mind is even that scarcity thinking can be connected to clutter, which is so interesting because just talking about prosperity, and I'm sure as we get into the spiritual laws of, you talked about law of prosperity, the law of cause and effect. Like when we have that clutter, it's like the opposite of a vacuum and energy gets stagnant. So interesting. I could go on and on. Oh my gosh, my brain is like, whoa, there's this and there's that. I am wondering, because I know you and I were talking about this, you always have these like amazing resources and tools and things and ways to really so we've talked about how do you really make sure the home that you're in has that, it feels like home, and then it allows for optimal creativity and manifestation. So now I know there's other ways that we can really make sure our home is healing and healthy and nourishing our mind, body, and soul. And these don't have to be expensive things that we do. I would love for you to share some of these ways that people, the thing I love about the show is we want to share things that you, my dear listener, may not know of or may not realize that's not pricey, that can make a difference for your health, for your You-est You. So Dana, I know we talked a little bit about this between, I'll let you take it away, but EMFs are just one. There are many other areas too. What are some of the things that people may not realize are blocking energy and that can affect health that we can remedy?
It's such a big one. I'm a huge believer for all the women listening, and I imagine there's many women as well as men. It's not just women, but hormones are such a big men and women. We should just take that out of the equation because everyone's impacted. We have so many hormone disruptors in our homes, and it's something that's really been just like lit up on a giant, we'll say, marquee for me in the last year, like understanding all about hormones and well-being and how profound they are. I thought hormones just had to do with, reproduction. And then I was just very narrow-minded. And then I realized, wait, my whole body is run on hormones, and my hormones are not where they should be? And what do I need to do? And rather than rushing outside of myself, I started by looking at my home and looking at all the things, the small little things. Many of you probably already have pretty non-toxic cleaning products for the most part. And if you don't have non-toxic cleaning products, you can start transitioning into them over time, and that's really helpful. You can also look at your personal care products, noticing, like, do I have a lot of phthalates and other disruptive? You can look at a whole list. EWG does a great job of creating a list of hormone disruptors and other chemical compounds that we probably shouldn't slather all over our bodies every single day. And all with a grain of salt. And again, you can transition slowly into those things. And I had already done a lot of that. But there was this whole other piece that I wasn't really taking into full account because I thought I had it pretty well done. But one of the things that made the biggest difference for me, one, was understanding my air quality. Like, I already clean a lot. I'm known for cleaning. Like, I love cleaning. Cleaning is a passion of mine. Dust is actually full of petrochemicals. Did you know that? I didn't. I didn't know that. I thought dust was dirt from the ground that like flew up in the air. But dust is flame retardants, petrochemicals, and all sorts of hormone disruptors. I had no idea at all. And so this was a recent learning, and I started really getting into it. And vacuuming just about every single day. That might not be practical for everyone, but even just dusting a little bit every day makes such a big difference. Rather than relying on a great big air purifier alone to do all the work, you can dust a little bit more. You can also pay attention to other big things that have an impact, like walking into your house with your shoes on. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to change your hormone levels completely or change your body completely, but so many of the toxins that get into our home in the first place come from the bottom of our shoes. Think about what you walk in and what you don't know that you've walked in. And so take those shoes off when you walk in the house, and you will already create a more sacred space. And then, as you said, we could take it to so many different levels. Just EMF, another great one to highlight. People don't realize that even if you shut off your own Wi-Fi, you're probably surrounded by Wi-Fi if you live in a city. So I could shut off my Wi-Fi, but I have 30 people's Wi-Fi showing up on my screen, and it's all over. It's all around me. And so I started to learn different ways that I could mitigate some of that EMF. Something really fun that I've been playing around with a lot are EMF harmonizers. I don't know if anyone's ever tried one, but they're little plug-in things that you put in the wall, and they can harmonize your energy field in your home. Another wonderful thing that I've had, and those are probably around $150 to $200. Another great one, Earth Calm, is a really good one, and I think they still have them. These companies turn over frequently, but that one's been around for a while. Another great thing for EMF that I've been doing that I really love is my own personal devices are all shielded. And this is an inexpensive thing that you can do to get a sleeve for your phone, a sleeve for your iPad, anything that you are, for your computer, for your laptop, anything you are holding, touching, carrying around, having near your body, near your face, anything that's going to be in your hands all day long better be shielded. That's going to make the greatest difference. Proximity matters. So this can make a great big difference, and you can carry it with you. And none of that stuff is completely out of reach. We could go deep into so many things that you can do, but I like to think about what's the easiest, what's some of the first things I can do. So if you want to detox your home a little more, deep clean, vacuum and dust more often, and you're all ready, take your shoes off when you come in, shield your phone, and you're already so far ahead of the game. And all the other things you hear about can be icing on the cake if you want to explore them.
Oh my gosh, Dana, thank you. And we'll find some links and put them in the description so people can find that easily. I think this is really important because I know anyone listening, right? Like attracts like. I know how I am. And I constantly, and I know we've talked about this, we all have this, we have a lot of personal empowerment and intuition and strength within us. And sometimes when we don't even realize, right? Like hormone dysregulation, the EMFs, there's so many things that you may not realize are contributing to feeling a lack of energy or not as inspired or not as creative. And I love how we've holistically looked at this. To me, this is like one lens at looking at how to be your You-est You, to step into that, which really is accessing your higher self, your soul self, your truest self. And when we're in connection with that part of ourselves, that's where we get out of fear, out of ego. That's where we get into our heart. It's what I love the work that you do and what you're teaching, because in the end, all of these things can make a difference. And I also love what you said. It's not about overwhelming ourselves or our nervous system. It's about doing the things that we can do. So even that, starting with deep cleaning, with really like asking that question, what makes me feel at home? And as you said, bless the clutter. Look at the clutter. What isn't making you feel at home? And then a couple of these clean, look and see where the EMFs might be. You could get the harmonizer, you could get the shield, but also and I know you and I have talked about this, that level of loving yourself enough to really look at what's surrounding you, to me, and I know you've said this as well, that's where we start to put our love into action for ourselves, which allows us to be more open-hearted and more loving for the world, because it starts with ourselves. It starts with me, it starts with you and everyone listening. It starts with you, my listener, like really taking care of yourself. And so I love the work that you do. And I know that you have such a beautiful, unique spin on it as well, that you've been teaching for years. Can you share a little bit more with your programs? Like just maybe for someone who's like, oh, I'm interested. I've always been interested in Feng Shui, how they differ, and that what you're most excited about with the programs that are coming up.
Yeah, of course. So there's a whole, we'll say a menu of different courses. If you're little they're not little, they're 8 hours long, but they're DIY courses that I call camps. And the Feng Shui camps are really fun because you can go in and work on one little thing for yourself, not little, but one aspect, let's just say clutter, money, love, and making breakthroughs, aligning your life. And they're great DIY programs. You won't necessarily learn how to do Feng Shui, but you will use Feng Shui as you go through the programs. And my whole thing, as you said, is that love in action. And I'm a big believer that everything active is going to be more. I spend a lot of time sitting and thinking and trying to vibrate my way into breakthroughs. And then I was like, you know what? I just need to take action. Like, this is it. So it's very fun, very inspiring programs. And then there is the Feng Shui School, and the School of Intention is where you learn how to do all of this by doing it first for yourself. So the first few weeks of the school, actually the first month of the school, a lot of times students are like, when do we start moving furniture? When do we start doing things? Because we start with the nervous system reset. We start with a lot of work on your own personal energy. We do a lot of work with intention, because everything, and this is something I think everyone can take away, everything is energy, but also your intention affects everything in your space and in your life. And so when you can start working with intention in that way and understanding for yourself how it's being put in your home, you can start making huge changes. It's the School of Intention. And then we dive into every aspect of Feng Shui and how to use your home to manifest more, and ultimately how to do it with others. And there's a business training and all sorts of wonderful things. But that's a really my labor of love. I
Mhm.
look forward to it every season because I was my only colleague for so many years. I have no one. I don't really, this is feng shui you can't find in books. And I had no one to work with. And now I have colleagues all over the world. And it makes me so happy to be able to work with you. And that's another thing I think my approach to life, and if it's helpful for anyone listening, that really changed everything for me was that I am always in it. Whatever I'm doing, I'm in it. If I'm helping my client, I'm thinking about, I'm learning something here. I have to be in the process. I can't just sit and tell you what to do. I don't believe in that. You already have all the answers. I'm always in everything with everyone. And so it's become this wonderful way to continue to grow and learn. And that's why when I get together with people like you, Julie, we could just go back and forth because we have so many resources and so many things. I'll share, a friend of mine just told me to get this book. I haven't read it yet, but I read a few pages. It's called The Magic of Psychotronic Power. That's an interesting thing that I've been learning lately. Another friend, this is all my friends, another friend just gave me dream recovery mouth tape. I don't even know what that is, but if you sleep with your mouth taped and don't breathe through your mouth, it can change your life. I've got clinical aromatherapy on my desk that I'm testing. This is my world. I'm always testing little things, little ideas. Do I test big things? Sometimes, but you can do so much. And for all of you sitting there thinking, do I have to buy a bunch of stuff to start? Do I have to invest all of this stuff in order to see an effect in my life? Because it is how feng shui usually is. I'm not going to lie to you. If you do a lot of feng shui, you've got to go and get a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of stuff and buy a bunch of crystal and a bunch of things. And we don't do any of that. And I'm a big believer that if you can start with what you have, most of the biggest life changes, and I think I've seen this with so many of your guests, so many podcasts I've listened to, most of the changes involve you investing your time and energy, your most precious resources, and really putting your heart and soul into what you're doing. So there's really no extras that you need. If you have a place where you live right now, you have the opportunity to tap into that place and expand it to its fullest potential. And if you want to learn more, I am happy to share all of it with you.
I love that, Dana. And I want to say for anyone who's new to Dana and her work, you started, I know this was a passion for you, a passion project. You didn't know this was going to end up being a business. And today Dana has this enormously loving, engaged community that just keeps growing. And I want to say, because I think to what I've seen, right, with people that really are doing, you're in your purpose, your heart, being your You-est You, that to me is one of the signatures, the thumbprint, right, of what I'll say, quote unquote, success is that deep desire to help others, to be doing what you're loving, what you're practicing. So the fact that you're testing out different ideas and products and things that are going to support your life. And I know we've talked about this a lot with other areas as well. To me, that's such a mark of, you are so aligned. And I know anyone who does any kind of program with you is in excellent hands. And I have to say, I love the focus so much on really understanding energy, and that since we're all made of energy, it's fine tuning. It's fine tuning your relationship with it. It's fine tuning your perception of it. It's fine tuning and understanding what is surrounding you. I'm like, woo, I'm going to be cleaning this weekend. I try to I have things tidy, but I'm like, oh, it's time. It's time to like gather the crystals up. I'm going to do it and put them
And
away.
And for everyone, you don't have to put your crystals away forever, but sometimes it's a nice reset to just take them all so that you can get a sense of where, because they're all intention. They're all full of so much energy and intention. And so it gives you like a clean slate, like a blank piece of paper to rewrite that story of where you're going to put them and where you want them to be. I don't want anyone to get the impression that I want you to put your crystals away forever, because I could live like that. My house felt naked without them. I will say that.
I love that. It felt naked. I love it. Well, and there's a lot of I think just having that clear space. I usually do that in the beginning of the year, but I think it's got to be more consistent, and in a loving way, right? Like now we have a new season for many of us, spring, right? And so just really, really creating more of that open space. I love that reminder. Before we wrap, I am wondering if there's anything intuitively coming through to you, either something I didn't ask you or something intuitively, because I know we both of us are very connected and you are highly in tune with your intuition, with the greater universe. Is there anything that's coming through to you? Call them heart flares here, as you know, something that would be either helpful, insightful, or just something you'd like to share that is on your heart?
One thing that's been coming up a lot, and thank you for asking that, is a lot of people I'm encountering have great intuition, have amazing ideas, and don't trust themselves. And there's a lot of fear being pumped in the air in the media. There's a lot of uncertainty of all kinds, like swirling around in the universe, all these existential threats, as well as real things that are happening. And it's a lot of destabilization where it's like, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. I want to do this, but what should I? And whenever you're working with your environment or doing anything for your greater good, it never comes from outside of you. Like I said, I don't tell people what to do. We brainstorm and work together. I feng shui with people, not for them. I don't sit and go, put that there, put that there. Feng shui says this. I don't care about any of that. I care about you. And this is a conversation and you participate in it actively. But part of this, when you're starting to do it for yourself or anything in life, is like, how do you know you can trust yourself when you've been burned, when you've made what you perceive to be bad choices, or you have a mess going on, or anything else? How do you then trust yourself again? And the one thing that I come back to again and again and again is presence. Because when I started doing this work, I didn't trust myself. And I grew to trust myself as I started doing what we talked about at the beginning, making myself feel a little bit more at home, letting go of things, just taking out the trash, cleaning up, little by little, organizing things. The more you have a flow of energy moving in your life, the more you'll feel, oh, I am present. I can make a choice I can stand by. I can take a bigger leap. You can follow your feelings more when you don't have a lot of that clutter in the
Mm.
way, and you don't have to be fully decluttered to trust yourself, but just that awareness that I need to be a little bit more present. Like when you're fully here, I think you could trust yourself a lot more. I don't mind if I make the wrong choice ever now, as long as I made it when I was present. And it's never the wrong choice. Maybe it was a lesson or whatever. But as long as I was fully present and I wasn't rushing or, whatever, when it was making a big life decision, from that place, I stand by it. And I think that with all this growth and change and intuition and everything else, you've got it all already. And so many people, I know everyone listening is like, I'm so intuitive, I'm so talented. The hidden piece is usually just trust. That's what I've seen again and
Mm.
again come up this year more and more. And I'm a big advocate for, you can't just say trust yourself. You got to build that trust with yourself, just like anything else. So just start clearing some stuff away and being a
Mm.
little bit more present, a little bit more present. And don't make any big decisions when you don't feel grounded. You don't have to feel ecstatically happy, but just feel grounded. And usually from that place, things work out a lot better. And as I say that, that's what I've been practicing for myself for years. And I couldn't trust myself with anything before. I got myself in the biggest mess ever. And now trust is pretty much my engine.
Gorgeous. Oh gosh, so aligned. Yeah, what the thing about you just said something that I think we forget, and building that relationship, right, with anybody. It takes some time. It doesn't typically happen overnight. So why would that not be the case with ourselves? And if you have a lack of trust, I love this. It's like looking at the clutter. It's like, oh, I'm seeing that's a place and space to love myself more, to trust, to build that rapport with yourself. That is so powerful. We could do a whole nother talk about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, so resonate with you, Dana. And as you were speaking, I heard this like intuition say, I'm going to pick an intention card. Actually, we talked about intentions, and I'm like, I'm just hearing pick an intention card after such a rich conversation. So if that's cool with you, I'm going to pull one. I love what you said. Let's see what we get. Let's see what the universe is sharing. And I, by the way, want to also echo that being grounded. Don't make decisions if you're not feeling grounded. That's a great way to say it. I haven't heard it said that way. Really powerful. All right. So these are the You-est You intention cards. All right, sister, you ready? We're going to see I'm just going to pull one. Need readers. So here we go. Oh, this is a good one. This kind of goes with what we were saying. So the card I chose is purpose. If you're watching, you can see it, although it's probably backwards, but that's okay. Purpose. The intention. I was born with sacred gifts, skills, talents, and a purpose. I allow myself to stand firm and share mine with the planet. I affirm that we will all have an important purpose. And then it says, and mine is, and you can fill that in. And it can be a variety of different things. And it might be to share my voice with the world, to share that book that you've thought about writing, to have people over and be able to share your space, whatever the purpose is. So the questions to ask yourself, how can I shine my light today? How can I add purpose to my life and that of others? In what ways do I feel called to share my purpose? I just love how that connects, because I think when we clear our space, figuratively and literally, and we really look at how to have that trusting relationship with ourselves, we open in the heart and we are able to access our purpose. So I love that intention. That's cool.
That's so
Super cool.
beautiful. I love your intention cards. Yay. I'm going to pull one for myself right after this, but I'm going to take that one with me.
Yay. Oh my gosh. And I hope that spoke to you. Our beloved You-est You listener, thank you for being here with us. Dana, thank you for just being a soul sister on the path and such a brilliant and humble. You've got both teacher and spiritual luminary, and just somebody who's really adding such light to the world. And I love that you practice what you're talking about. And I'm just grateful for you. And I know for anybody tuning in, we are sending you love and light. And may you remember to build that relationship with yourself, to build that of trust, to ground in, and to know that what you're seeking is within you already. It's already there. You don't need to pay for something. It's there. You might need help, support accessing it, but we all have it. Batteries are included with the way we're built. Thank you, Dana. You are awesome. Loved connecting.
Thank you so, so much.
My friend, I'm so grateful and honored to be here with you on your journey and being your You-est You. Thank you for watching this episode, for being part of this incredible community and this mission to really step into your light, to your highest purpose. I believe that as we all do that, we all can really be our best selves and uplift consciousness and in humanity. So thank you. I also wanted to say that if you are looking for greater support right now, maybe you're having a health concern, or you're looking to really step into that next version, best version of yourself, please come connect with me, whether it's for more resources or coaching or guidance. I would love to support you in any way that I can. Just go to juliereisler.com. You can book a powerful one-on-one breakthrough session there. You can connect with me. I would love to meet you. I'd love to hear how I can be on this journey with you. And before I forget, if you'd like a little more of this good vibe tribe and would like to digest these episodes with a high vibe community, just go to Facebook and look up the You-est You podcast community. You'll find us there. Love always. And thank you so much for taking the time and energy to truly stepping into your authenticity and being your You-est You.